Welcome to my second video. In this video, I plan to discuss what atheism is, and what, in general, it isn't. I will detail the online so-called tenet of atheism, the difference between strong and weak atheism, the difference between agnosticism and atheism, and then a description of the majority of atheists. I will then discuss misconceptions about atheists, including morality, that they are mad at God, that they are rebelling, that they have a lack of knowledge about religion, or that atheism itself is a religion. After that, I'll talk about topics that are usually brought up when discussing atheism, that don't necessarily have anything to do with it, such as evolution, belief, or non-belief in the supernatural and an afterlife, and the role of skepticism and/or intellectualism. Before I begin, let me first and foremost state that not every non-believer's views will be the same. There are as many variations of atheism as there are people. However, I hope with this video to state clearly the stance of most atheists, and help highlight many of the misconceptions about atheists. This video is not so much geared towards someone who already has no belief in a god or gods, but to those who do not understand and wish to have a bit more knowledge on the topic. Let's begin, shall we? Being an atheist entails only one thing: a lack of belief in a god or gods. A person who has never heard of a god is an atheist, and so is a person who rejects the claims of theists that God exists. It does not exclude or preclude any other beliefs or lack thereof, a point which will be made later on in this video. Atheism comes from the prefix "I", meaning without, and theos, meaning God. Let's discuss the difference between the so-called strong and weak atheists. A strong atheist is someone who believes, with certainty, that no gods exist. This, in general, is a positive claim. Weak atheists, however, are those who simply lack belief in gods. The majority of atheists fall in the weak category. The reason for this is simple: no proof for gods exist, but you cannot prove that a god does not exist. This goes back to simple logic: no one can prove a negative. Due to the lack of evidence of a god, some people merely withhold their decision on his, her, or its existence. Others may believe that it is impossible to know for sure. Those people who say they don't know are agnostic. Gnostic comes from Latin for knowledge, and the I of course comes from Latin for without. Where atheism and theism deal with belief, agnosticism and Gnosticism deal with knowledge. They aren't mutually exclusive. You are more likely to find an agnostic atheist than a Gnostic one. As described before, almost no atheist claims to know for certain that no God exists. This, however, is also true of giant invisible space slugs who beam thoughts into your head from the outer reaches of Andromeda. The majority of atheists you are likely to meet are, in fact, normal people. They have dreams, they love, they have families. They aren't all argumentative or anti-religion. Some, you might find, are downright pleasant. You'll find that the majority of them spend their lives fighting against misconceptions about their livelihood and belief systems. For some people like me, atheism is only a tiny part of one's personality. It will, however, be the part we find we have to defend the hardest due to the pre-existing biases other people have. One misconception is that atheists cannot have any morality because they have no God to tell them right from wrong. This is of course incorrect. Morality is subjective. For example, the Bible, which for Christians is the pinnacle of morality, endorses such things as slavery and war with those not of your religion. Atheists do not require the musings of a vengeful God to know what is good and bad. We can see what is good not only for the individual, but also for society as a whole. We are not hedonistic heathens that do nothing but drugs and have sex with as many partners as possible. That's not to say that you won't find the rare non-believer who do treat their bodies that way, but we atheists tend to be more reasonable. Another error that people who have never met an atheist make is assume that we are in some way mad at God. This is a little silly. If you don't believe that something exists, how can you be angry at that thing? Those that assume that, of course, believe that we do in fact believe in a God and something that happened in our lives made us angry at God. This is fallacious. While many atheists are in fact unhappy with religion, it doesn't mean that they are angry with a deity that they have absolutely no belief in. Rebellion against parents or church figures is another common misconception about most atheists. You'll find some of the teenage atheists who actually are rebelling are doing so for silly reasons. This is often a period of time many go through when growing up. However, when someone ages, they may find that their actual beliefs are challenged, or they decide to research the claims made by religion, and this may lead to non-belief. These are not rebellion, but based on curiosity. There is also the assumption that atheists do not understand religion, or have never read religious texts. This is also false. A great number of non-believers used to be theists. Some could actually say that no book has created more atheists than the Holy Bible. Examining a great number of deconversion stories, it appears in my experience that it is persons who actually research religious texts and claims, and by extension, apply their critical thinking skills to the texts and claims, who make their way to atheism. There is another claim that the persons who don't understand atheism make, that atheism itself is a religion. Atheism is a single lack of belief in a God, not a belief system. Many before have used this analogy, and I won't even begin to say it is original. Atheism is a religion in the same way that bald is a hair color, or not collecting stamps is a hobby. While sometimes certain other beliefs, facts, and worldviews are tied in with atheism, they are not necessarily connected, and they certainly aren't tenets of an atheist religion. Evolution is often claimed as being related to atheism, but neither the acceptance of evolution nor a non-belief in a god or gods have anything to do with the other. Many videos on YouTube describe evolution in far greater detail than I will here. Suffice it to say, that is a scientific fact. I'm sure if you don't understand it, then you will probably argue about the use of the word theory or some apologetics argument against it. This is not a video about evolution, so please keep the comments about it at a minimum. I'll provide links that discuss it in further detail. Evolution is not a worldview, and it says absolutely nothing about the existence or non-existence of deities. While atheism is a lack of belief in gods, it does not necessarily preclude or exclude a belief in the otherwise supernatural. Most atheists are rationally minded, but they can also believe in such things as ghosts, aliens, government conspiracies, and reincarnation. Skepticism is usually closely tied to atheism. It is often what starts one down the path to non-belief when one begins to question things. That said, you don't suddenly become an intellectual elitist or part of the cool smart kids club just by being an atheist. While a large quantity of scientists tend to skew towards non-belief, it doesn't necessarily mean that all smart people are atheists, or that all atheists are smart. There may be a correlation between intelligence and willingness to research, and that may be where skepticism and atheism intersect. I won't begin to claim that I have any studies to back that up, but it is an observation I've made that tends to be true in my admittedly limited experience. Let me conclude this video by thanking you for taking the time to watch it. I hope I have cleared up any misconceptions you may have had about atheism. I covered mostly the basics. I may in fact cover the individual topics in further detail in later videos, but for now, I just wanted to make sure that essentials were discussed. I tried to avoid bashing religion in this video, or endorsing anything in particular, other than tolerance of atheism. There may be some errors in terminology and focus, and that is entirely my fault. Please also remember that two people may have differing opinions about how they define their own atheism. I appreciate your time.